Welcome to part 2 of my interview with Mark Leiren-Young. Here we talk about his experiences working on Ace Lightning. This whole interview had some really juicy stuff in it, though this is where it gets really juicy, so stay tuned. Just as a heads up, this part of the interview picks up right from the previous one, so the backgrounds stay the same, though what comprises the last 30 minutes of this video, that was shot at a later date, and so that's why Mark's background looks different for that segment. I've cut this video so it flows right into that, despite these changes. Talking about this now saves me explaining it later on. So folks, enjoy. But Mark, so my question, what was your experience like working as a writer on Ace Lightning?
Ace was kind of a dream come true gig because it was my first chance to work on total all-out superheroes. And again, I have the most vivid memory of getting this gig because I'd moved to Toronto not long before, and I had met an executive at the company that was producing Ace, and he said, there's this new show, they're interviewing writers. I'm going to line up a meeting for you with the showrunner, Rick Siggelkow. And I was a last second addition to the interviews, right? So I was not supposed to be in the interview list. It was just really interesting timing. So I have this meeting. My memory says it was Alliance Atlantis or Alliance. Yay. So have this meeting with an executive there who went, I think you'd be good for this show. So I'm going to set up this meeting. So every other person who went to the meeting, they had the Bible, they had probably the pilot, did all the stuff. Sorry, I'm just moving this around because I've got a weird background in front of me because I'm in somebody else's office.
Oh, it's cool.
It looked like I had computers sticking into my ears. So I have this meeting. I remember going to a diner to meet Rick Siggelkow, and I said, I'm so sorry. Nobody's told me anything about the show beyond its superheroes. So he starts to describe the show to me, and he's breaking it down, and I couldn't help myself. The words came out of my mouth, and as soon as I said them, I thought, I'm so not getting this job, because I said, oh, wow, you're doing the first year of Spider-Man. And he went, what? I said, that screen got, look, I just started listing off all the characters. I went, you're hitting all of the classic beats of season one, of the first year, the origin of the Spider-Man. And he looked at me, and I thought, like, my thought was, he's going to kick me out either for being such a nerd or for suggesting this. And he went, actually, I was working on this pitch with my neighbor, Dennis O'Neill, and my eyes light up. And I go, oh my God, Danny O'Neill? Do you know Danny O'Neill? Because Batman, that was my thing as a kid, right? Like Batman comics. And Danny O'Neill is one of the first names that I learned when I realized that people made comics. Right, when I kind of put together that there were writers and artists who did the comics, and the comics didn't just exist. Danny O'Neill was the name that I knew. So I just like completely lit up. And suddenly we were jamming on comics. Yeah, we started talking about what made Spider-Man, like what made Spider-Man happen. And it really was, because I'm going, oh, you're doing this character and this character and this beat and this beat. And I recognized all of them. Because like this is my happy place. And we just talked forever. And the funniest thing was one of the first people I met who wrote for TV, who told me what it was like, wonderful animation writer named Steve Westron. And Steve and I would get to go up for the same jobs because we both had a comedy background. We both had a cartoon background, but he had done so much more than me. So I would walk into a job, I'd do the interview, and then he and I would go for lunch. And of course, he got the job. Like always, Steve got the job. And like I came out of this interview and went, this is so much fun. And I got a call later that day from Steve. And he went, I just did one of the worst job interviews I've ever done. And I think it was your fault. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? He said, I just walked into this job interview for this show called Ace Lightning, and all the showrunner could talk about was how he'd met this comic nerd right before me, and they just talked comics for an hour. Mm-hmm. And he went, that was you, wasn't it? I went, yeah. He said, I definitely did not get that job. He said, I'm pretty sure you did. So I knew I'd done okay before I actually got the word saying that I had the gig.
Mm.
And Rick was just amazing to me after that and really kind of took advantage of the fact that this was my world. I mean, I had 15,000 comics at one point as a collector. Like I was still actively collecting comics. I was living in Toronto. They were sitting in piles in Vancouver. So most of the collection was in Vancouver. Then I'd be buying comics in Toronto and stacking them up in an apartment, which did not have room for my comic collection.
Oh.
Or the comics, never mind the comics I was buying in Toronto and stacking up. So it was hilarious, but we just sort of broke down. And what kind of happened with Ace, and when you look at the stories that I got, frequently it was if they were hitting a really classic superhero beat. So if you look at my stories, if it was revealing the secret identity beat, Rick would go, okay, you're the nerd. You go do that.
I am Kilobyte, the cyber stalker, the giver and taker of evil.
And that's also how I got the season finale that turned into the series finale.
Mm-hmm.
He went, I think you can do something that'll make people cry with this. He said, I'm going to give this to you. So the episodes that I got were, it was an amazing gift because there were real freaking comic book writers on that. Like, I met Alan Grant at a meeting that he did. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm meeting somebody who's written Justice League, right? Like, it was like I totally fanboyed. And I'm actually 100% sure I got the job because I fanboyed when I heard the Indemnity deal, and I couldn't stop myself, right? Like, I just assumed I was doomed. The minute I nerded out and said that Spider-Man Year One, I just thought, well, I'm not getting the job. I may as well have fun.
Oh, no, but it happened. It really worked. It was amazing. It's an amazing story. Such enthusiasm, but it's weird, Mark, because I was asking Matt Fichtner, actually, who is, an amazing friend, or he calls me his friend. So I'm like, oh, that's really sweet. That's really great.
Oh, he's lovely. The artist.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's
just amazing.
There's two little stories there that overlap. One is that, for one thing, Matt is a big inspiration to me as a creative person, and I had the chance to interview him, and I didn't record it. I wasn't able to at that point. So, but at the same time, it's like a little conversation we were able to have. But I told him how important he is to me and how I do art. I studied it because of his design work in Ace, and it kind of sparks that creativity when you're young. And there's so many other things as well that motivated me, but I thought that's probably the first like really big one. So it's like meeting my legitimate hero. It's like, you're the guy.
It was such clever art.
Yeah,
right. The concept art was so strong.
I did wonder about how influential the Marvel and DC comics were to the character designs. Not so much the characters as written, but like you can kind of, like with Random Virus, who we're talking about, you can kind of feel like the Two-Face influence coming through. Or
it's like a Two-Face Green Goblin thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Green Goblin, Joker, for different characters. Like Mark Hollander, I think, was specifically influenced by Peter Parker, and so that one we can say for sure. But he was talking about how despite those parallels that people like us can draw, or the audience watching, like designing the characters, those weren't terribly influential in how they looked. But I think with Matt, it was more like 80s cartoons that really influenced what he was doing, like Lord Fear, like Skeletor from He-Man, and Ninja Turtles is another one for like Anvil and Pigface. It was more like in that sort of realm. And I know like the horror genre is really influential to Matt, but like with Random Virus, he was telling me that he wanted him, I think, to look like The Thing at one point, like John Carpenter's The Thing, with the robot, with the robot parts like kind of sprouting from him, kind of. And there's kind of a bit of that with the caterpillar tracks that he has. He has like these pincers that kind of come from the sides. I'm like, Oh yeah, I can kind of see like artifacts of that coming through. I want to see the concept art for that so badly. But I thought also it plays off like the multiple personality thing, him looking that way. I thought, no, that's really great. No, because Matt, I know, worked on the 2011 thing actually.
Cool.
I know. I'll need to ask him about that sometime if if we can talk about that. So, Mark, I have some goodies I can show you. It's some merchandise.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a merchandise from Ace Lightning, which I think was actually only available in the UK. For the most part, as far as I know. But
oh, neat.
so I have something here. I'll just get one of these here. So this one of my favorite books ever. So this is the Ace Lightning Guidebook. I'll show you this here.
Oh, cool.
Aha, I know. I do love this purple. This isn't my own personal copy. This is one I collected. There's a few different ones. Like it had this Lord Fear poster in the back, which to my dismay isn't included in this one. But we've got. I can put that in post. But no, my own personal copy I had. It's purple, and what I ended up doing was peeling away some of the purple on the back. You can't see it on this.
Yeah.
Not that copy. But I was showing Brandon Carrera. Like, I think I was just curious because I was a kid. I was like, "What's this?" Oh dear. But anyway.
Yeah, I get that.
No, I'll show you some stuff. But I was thinking about what you'd said about the finale, about how the idea was let's see if we can make them cry with this ending. And true enough, that's exactly what happened. That's
good.
That's it there. Yeah, certainly like Ace, definitely was really destroyed by that, by spoilers, the death of Lady Illusion.
Yep.
Oh man, I'll just get this here. So the book here, it's got like character bios, and there's a funny bit with Lady Illusion. See if I can find this here. I think I've gone right past it. But I thought I have this stuff here that these bits of history. I thought I'll show Mark some of this. This will be fun. Here we go. There you go. So Lady Illusion.
Cool.
So I'll just see if I can. You see okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder if I think they took freeze frames from the show, from the CGI models, and like put that into the book, because I was rewatching the show, and there's like poses that Ace has. And I was watching. I'm like, that's the cover of the DVD or the video game that they ended up making. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Kind of sourcing it from that. But this is a good part where it's Lady Illusion talking about herself. She's like, my special power is the ability to morph into anything I want. I can be a puny human teacher or a dog. I could even be the book you're reading now. Oh man. I'm like, does the physics of that work? I thought, can you be something inanimate? Probably not, but oh gee. But talking about random virus from before, let's here we go. Got our hero poses of the good guys.
Yep.
There's random just here. Now one of my favorites. Yeah, something with Ace Lightning is I do really love the good guys, but I also really love the bad guys as well. Just, in terms of the character designs. I was telling Matt Fickner this, and it's like, yeah, this is all really important to me. And another one, I'll just get this here, is the 2003 Ace Lightning yearbook, which is 20 years old this year. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Ace kind of has the Superman pose going on.
Definitely.
Yeah, but with posters talking of, I've got one in here, poster in the back of Ace and Lord Fear. Let's get this. There you go.
Cool.
Yeah. No, some good stuff in here, some good puns. Let's see. Yeah, one of the actors I've got here, it's Mr. Chesbro, played by R.D. Reed, who's sadly not with us any longer. But one of my favorites in the show from rewatching it just here. This guy.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, gee. I do always love this, and this information was listed on Ace Lightning Wikipedia because there is an Ace Lightning wiki. There, I thought I'll need to add in some more information to that page. But it was asking, it's got like character bios, and with Mr. Chesbro, the first thing is his age, and it says here, no spring chicken. Oh man. So like, I guess we never figured that one out. Oh dear, this aged, crazy teacher guy. No, I'll need to show you some more, show you some proper stuff as well out of that. But also, Mark, I have some toys actually that were based on the character designs from Ace Lightning. There is a Lord Fear toy, though to my dismay, I wasn't able to find that one on the internet, though I was able to get a hold of everything else. Now, the first one here is Anvil. Here we go.
Oh, wow.
I know. The cool thing is his anvil hand here has a little button. You can press that. I'll just get my hand out of the way and press this. There you go. This little click. Oh, yes. Whoop. So the anvil guy with his iconic garbage can lid shoulder. Now, with Anvil, I did wonder if, the rhino could have been influential from Spider-Man just because of the species.
Yeah.
Name. But I don't know, like, why a rhino exactly was set upon. I think because of the carnival or, like, the circus theme. It's got, like a, circus animal, I suppose. But they thought, well, we won't go for the most obvious, thing, like a lion or like a zebra or something. We'll vary that one up. Another one here we are. Is pig face. There we go.
Yeah.
Got this here. Oh, that face. Yes. Yeah, pig face with his big face. Okay. No, it's very accurate to the show, how they were able to get, these models to look so, so close to it. Because I know I actually have some of Matt's drawings that he'd sent me. I have a few, on my wall, which is like the most amazing thing. And like, thank you so much, Matt, for this. But you can see some of the design, like development, how they went from here to there. But it's based on the TV show. And Rat, I'll just bring in Rat. Here we go.
Yeah.
And Rat. Yeah.
Cool.
Aha! I'll bring this one in a little closer. No, the cool thing about this dude is, just bring this up, is his wings can flap. I'll show you.
Those are really elaborate.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. It's weird, because it's so close to the design of the show as well. And this is kind of another one that reminds me of The Thing. The more I think about it, the way the wings kind of sprout out of there, kind of more so in the show. It's evident, but then like his tail, like a giant worm. I always kind of thought, like, he's so gross and horrible. I love it. Yeah, one of my favorite designs, just like the rat and the clown suit and the nose and the makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, also, another one here. We have Ace. Here he is.
Ooh.
I know.
Those are just really well articulated.
Yeah, no, these crop up on eBay occasionally. I have some clones of these just for like comparison's sake. But no, I could maybe send you one of these. Once I'm gonna make a few videos about the toys, just kind of compare the two and be like, okay, folks, I'm gonna auction these off. Who wants them? Who wants them?
Cool.
Yeah. No, the fun thing is he has the amulet on his back, which is accurate to the show as well. I do love that.
Yeah.
I think he had little projectiles for his wrists because it's got kind of a, spring thing on the side. Although I've not seen anything that went in there. Like, I'm not sure what that would have been because it's got kind of a space just here. Yeah, he's missing his belt that he had, but, and the little bit of paint chipping on the shoulders. But at the same time, like, I have it. I found them here. It's apparent that designing Ace, I think Matt Fichtner drew like a self portrait, if you like, of himself wearing this kind of leather jacket and the body armor that he has, among other concepts, and that's where we ended up for the character. It's like, so Matt is Ace Lightning.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. No, it's interesting how the merchandise didn't exist in Canada or most other countries. I thought, oh, it doesn't. Oh man, because the show itself and some of the byproducts of that just were really important to me.
Yep.
But no, I know the superhero genre is a big part of Rick's thinking, and I think Spider-Man was his favorite superhero. And I think his brother, he was saying, actually had all of the comics, or at least up to a certain point, I guess. But it's like, no, I found them all.
Nice.
Yeah, even Spider-Man 1. I think from Amazing Fantasy. So, it's a big part of his thinking. And so Ace Lightning came, all from him, and like this vision, so great. No, I was thinking, Mark, about what you'd said about some of the, some of the writing choices that you've made about taking, like, not smaller characters, but like taking characters and then kind of giving giving them, stories that they can run with. And it sort of leads into one of the Ace Lightning questions I've got just here. So we'll get here. There you go. In Ace Lightning, I sometimes saw things like urban legends and conspiracy theories, like extraterrestrials or UFO sightings, being satirized in episodes that you wrote, as well as the show overall. Is that something you wanted to do as a writer on the show?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, remember, I sort of accidentally started my career writing an X-Files episode, or writing the Spec X-Files episode. So playing with that was my thing. And I mean, looking back over some of these episodes, the stuff that I actually pitched versus the stuff I think Rick just went, would you do this? Like there's a theater episode. Of course I pitched a theater episode. I'm a theater kid, right? So Tunnel of Love, I think, may have just been straight up, somebody was going to write that. Pretty sure The Play's the Thing was me going, can I do a theater episode? So there are certain things that would sort of be a go-to pitch for me. But yeah, Radioactive Guy would very much be like my wheelhouse.
The legend of the radioactive guy.
Yeah. And was it difficult because it's based on Phantom of the Opera? Like that wasn't like there wasn't like a rights issue or anything like that to try and do like a school play of
Phantom, definitely not, right? It's public domain. Once you take Lloyd Webber's songs, you're in trouble, but none of that.
I am the Phantom of the Opera.
I actually just found something while you were talking that I thought you may get a kick out of, especially because of where you are. When we first started writing this, one of the things we received, and I just found this in my files, was a lexicon of words and phrases, British to American, and American words rarely used in British with our meanings. I do not know who wrote this, okay? I just know this is in my Ace Lightning files, and it's a memo to Rick that he shared with us. So the phrases are taking the mickey, chuffed, sausage, good show, stoked, bugger, give us a ring or ring me, feeling peckish, lippy, a word that I've never heard before, which is kushti.
Kushti is like all good, like cool, but that's more of an English, that's like a London slang.
Oh, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be kushti.
Yeah, that one I don't know. Waistcoat, sleeveless top, vest, miffed, shagged out, knackered, nappy, minging, pong, trainers, plimsolls, fag for cigarettes, naughties. That's a word that I did not know. Hoover, sellotape, kip, jammy, tart, turf accountant, betting shop, high street, corner, news agents, which translates here as 7-Eleven store. I've got the translations for all of these. I'll send this to off license, roundabout, tube, a lot of words for liquor for a kid show. Chips, frog, courgette for zucchini, on the dole. And then American words rarely used in British with our meanings. That blows. Bummer, very bad. Bummer is a gay guy. This would shock Mark have used.
Oh.
That sucks. Roddy, dweeb, geek, sneakers, neat, swell, blocks, and easy street. So these were translations we received. I don't think I ever looked at those.
Oh.
But I think I may have just looked at those now. But I was just going, oh, wow, while you were talking that, I should dig up my old files. And the other thing, you must know this, but the original name of Ace was Captain, right?
Yeah.
There was Captain Lightning. I'm just looking at all my old scripts, and all of my old scripts refer to Captain Lightning.
It does have in the credits Captain L Productions, though, which it's kind of like an artifact of that. I think.
Yeah.
I think for season 2 it was Captain L2 or something like that. It was like a sequel name to that.
Yep.
Well, I know also coming up with character names, for who the characters were. Like Matt actually sent me a letter talking about his character designs, about how, for example, Pigface, had a different name. I think this was a character that they had in the script that was designed quite early on, like all the way through. But Pigface's original name was Lord Vulgar. That was his name. Yeah, which I'm sure you remember. And Anvil, again, Lord Brutal was Anvil's name, working name. And
cool.
Yeah, these are, I think all the bad guys had titles like Lord and Lady by the end. But I was saying to Matt Fickner that it's cool that it works better this way, that it's Lord Fear and Lady Illusion, have their titles, and then the rest of the bad guys have, just like a name. I was like, those are some amazing names, but no, it's still cool what they ended up going for.
Oh, we were just talking. I just found my notes from my first pitch, or from an early pitch of Play Is the Thing.
Yeah.
Where my note to Rick is, so as I started playing up the different angles, the big challenge is actually to find a play with a romantic triangle with 2 women and 1 guy plus a monster. Most monster plays create the triangle with a monster and another guy, and most of them, like Beauty and the Beast. Monster's a good guy. I also know from our conversations it started in part because of the gag of Chuck getting replaced by Pigface. So I kept coming back to Phantom because the monster ain't the good guy, and I saw a way to create a triangle with Heather and Sam and a cool reveal. And I screwed with the story a bit because I thought it would be fun to give them their own high school twist. If you think the twist is too silly, I can make it go away, but I think it might crack you up. Then I did a technical note. Again, theater nerd, but I also did a lot of magic as a kid, or I worked on magic shows. Theater flashpots are pretty standard. One of the things that cracked me up when I first saw Phantom was that I've used a lot of the same illusions when I produced a play at age 18. The fire shooter I've suggested as an illusion I used at age 16. I started in theaters. Magician, it's actually harmless and kid-friendly. It's a mechanism that attaches to a finger like one of Spider-Man's web shooters. And basically I talk about how this $15 device is treated like the biggest illusion in Phantom of the Opera, if you've ever seen it on stage. And I basically put, it should be available at any magic shop in Toronto, because so often when you're doing something like that, I know that somebody's reading this and going, oh, it's an expensive special effect. So there are my notes saying it's not an expensive special effect. It's a $15 gag you can get in a magic shop.
There is kind of like a special effect like that in the final episode where Chuck has that like bomb that goes off and then like the smoke happens at the end. So it's sort of, I was thinking it, sowing the ideas, the seeds of that idea where that ended up. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's great. You can bring in these influences, these ideas. Yeah. No, that was some good education, Mark, that Phantom of the Opera is public domain. So I thought, okay.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I had this idea talking of plays, because I'd seen of all things it was Sweeney Todd. Actually, it was the Tim Burton version when I was in school, in what you call high school, what I call secondary school. Depending on which part of Scotland you stay in, you call it. Some people say high school, some people call it secondary, but Because I'm a big Tim Burton fan, so I was saying, like, could we do Sweeney Todd, as a play? Could we do that? It's like we'd have to pay for it to do the music, but we didn't do that. But it's like that would have been fun,
Cool.
Yeah. It was just thinking. Oh gee, it's just really amazing talking to you, Mark. I'm trying to keep my train of thought.
All totally great.
One of them, I remembered what I was going to say. One of them is in talking to Brandon Carrera and first draft scripts. I actually have a script that Brandon sent me actually from one of the episodes, and I thought, wouldn't it be funny if it was one of Mark Leiren-Young's scripts and we could cover that one? But no, it's actually it's Jeff Bearderman, I think is how you say it.
Yeah.
It's it's episode. It's one of the later ones. It's A Friend in Need, which featured Random Virus quite prominently. So again, one of my favorites. I do love that one. I thought, yeah, this is a great one to love and fear, this character. Where it's like, nice job, Random, but I thought you were evil. You thought right.
Hey, Random, nice work. But I thought you were evil.
You thought right.
I'm like, oh boy, no, let's back off. He's insane. Oh no.
Yeah.
I'll annihilate all of you cowards. Hey, LF, he isn't talking about us, is he?
I'll annihilate all of you cowards.
Hey, LF, he isn't talking about us, is he?
Oh no, where it's like, nobody's safe. Yeah, but it's funny talking about slang from from the scripts. I think with that episode, it's interesting how close it is to the final product. Like there's some rearrangement story wise, and then there's some like detail from the characters that they trimmed out, but it's basically there. But Chuck talks to one of Mark's friends from back in England, talking about mooning a Spice Girl. I thought, the Spice Girls, how very of the time.
Yep.
So you mooned a Spice Girl. That's so awesome.
My proudest moment.
I thought to myself, mooning. I thought I wasn't sure what that was, but I googled that. I'm like, oh, it's exactly what I thought it was, and I thought, I'm surprised they threw that in a kids show.
Yep.
Where nowadays maybe not. I mean, it's just a joke. It's just verbal. But I thought, would that fly? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh gee. But no, thanks for bringing up the play. The play is the thing, because I did wonder about, I thought, what could I ask about that one, or what would I want to know, for my potential review that I say potential. I'm working on my review script now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do have some favorite lines that I have from that episode, but also from others. I'll see if I can run through my impressions of them.
Okay.
But we'll come to that. I have a couple of questions there, a couple more questions. But we're talking about the radioactive guy. There's some quotes I can do. So some questions, some specific questions about episodes that you wrote, Mark. Let's see.
Okay.
So, in There's No Place Like Home, one of my favorites, as I can say. You wrote a lot of my favorite episodes of the show. I want you to know this.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. So, for There's No Place Like Home, did you invent the name and backstory for the radioactive guy? It's such a fun, funny, and memorable nugget from the show. Do you remember working on that one?
I'm trying to dig this up here because the very first version of it, I think that was what we called Unidentified Superheroes in an early draft.
That is one of the one of the episode titles. I think you did do as well, actually. Yeah.
So Unidentified Superheroes was not Radioactive Guy.
No.
Then let me check, because I was sure I had my notes on Radioactive Guy.
So I think as far as episode numbers go, I think that's episode 6. I think I'd need to. Yeah, I think episode 5 or 6. It's early in the show.
Tunnel up. Plays the thing. Yes, I've just pulled it up. Captain Lightning. Field Day, the Carnival. I am pretty sure that with Radioactive Guy, with the legend part of Radioactive Guy, sounds very me, right? That backstory and the history sounds like my kind of nerdery, right? The only person I ever really dealt with on this directly was Rick, to the point where I actually got to go to a cast party once, and I went on set once and watched, but didn't really introduce myself because I was too shy. So, and remember the shock when I saw the scene that I'd written in Chuck's room, and Rick explained to me that this was now a standing set. I did not know what standing set meant.
Okay.
But it meant that they had built Chuck's room because I had thought it would be cool to set a scene in Chuck's room. And I was so completely freaked out by the idea that they'd spent all of this money because I just wrote interior Chuck's room. For a little while after that, I was terrified to write any interior extra I hadn't seen before because I couldn't. I mean, remember, like I said, I came from theater. It's the idea that if I wrote something, somebody spent a lot of money on it, just was so hard for me to wrap my head around. Right. So you built that because I used a different set. And Rick's going, yeah. I just thought that's really scary. But I remember going to a party, the rap party for, I think it was season 1, and maybe it was season 2. And the only person I talked to was Rick, who was my boss, the one woman who wrote my checks, and Chuck's the dad of the actor who played Chuck. Going, what do you do here? I sort of right because I'd never met any of the actors.
Was it?
So it was a very weird thing where it's like I knew who they all were, but as the writer, I'd never met them, and it felt really weird to say, "Hi, I wrote your words." I was less shy in later TV shows that I worked on, but with that show, for some reason, I was really shy about introducing myself.
Was it? Sorry, I think was it Mark's dad rather than Chuck's dad? Because I think in the show,
I'm pretty sure it was Chuck's. It was Chuck's real life dad.
Oh, do you mean Mark Minardi's actual dad, or just like?
Yes.
Oh, I see. I understand.
His actual dad. Oh no, I didn't meet any of the actors.
No. Oh, okay.
Because the actors all knew each other. I'm like, okay, I don't know what to say to them. Right. And I'm not particularly shy, and I'm definitely I'm not shy around actors. Like I act. I've got friendly friends who are actors. I just felt weird going, "Hi, I wrote your words." Just somehow I couldn't wrap my head around it.
No, I just wondered because with Chuck in the show, I think you hear his mum's voice in one episode.
Uh-oh.
Charles Mughal, did you short out our electricity again?
But you don't meet her, and you don't see. I don't think you meet any of the kids, or you don't meet many of the kids' parents. And I was just thinking, was Chuck?
Oh no, this wasn't the actor dad. This was the real life dad.
Just the actual dad.
It was the actual real life dad because neither of us really knew what we were doing there. It was kind of weird.
Oh. But there was like a relatability, dare I say, fish out of water.
Yeah, we were just kind of hiding in the corner together.
I wonder if Mark Minardi. I wonder if Minardi is a French name or Italian name. It just kind of, the more I say it, it sounds like Boyardee, like Chef Boyardee. That's cool. It's a great name.
Yep.
But also the confusing thing is because. Mark Minardi, his character name was Chuck, but Mark Hollander, the character, like the lead guy, played by Tom Wansley. It's kind of funny that the main guy is named Mark, and they have an actor in the show whose actual name is Mark, but it's not the same person. I thought that must have been that must have been confusing just a little bit. But no, what was the rap party like? Was it did you just interact with Rick and then Mr. Minardi?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's what normally happens at rap parties. How does it? It's probably very different depending on what.
It's so different from show to show, and I think would have probably been more different in a show with so many kids in it.
Yeah.
Right. So tends to be fairly low key.
Like I know that Brandon Carrera on the show, he was a child actor. He was talking about You know, at that age, he didn't feel like, you know, I'm a kid, you know, on this. He's like, I'm an adult, you know, I've got all this responsibility, and I'm on a TV show. I thought, yeah, but no, it would have been different, you know, different energy levels, because you've got lots of like teenagers in the cast, and then, you know, like some of the adults too. But no, talking about the radioactive guy and the in-universe, like, you know, legend there. It's just really fun. You know, I'll see if I can recall that. I was doing this impression for Brandon Carrera, but yeah, Dr. Cornelius Fowler was working late one dark and stormy night.
Cornelius Fowler was working late one dark and stormy night.
As you do when he saw a comet coming from deep in outer space, maybe even another galaxy.
When he saw a comet coming from deep in outer space, maybe another galaxy.
Where he's just like, that's my comet. Oh,
That's my comet. Oh.
You know, it's the product of yourself, but also the late great R.D. Reid, which is like a Scottish name, even though I think he was from Toronto, but he was really able to do that accent really well and use some of the language as well. But somehow he came by the comet and brought it back to the observatory. I say observatory just because of where I'm from. The observatory.
The radioactive guy! He left the observatory!
But so he somehow came by this thing and decided to bust it open, because that's perfectly safe. He's like, they said I was crazy, huh? I'll show them all.
They said I was crazy, huh? I'll show them all.
And it was radioactive, and he just went completely insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And the guys, he boarded himself up in the tower, and you know, outside it's just like, Cornelius, we just want to help you.
Cornelius, we just want to help you.
You can't come in. No one can ever come in again. I'm radioactive.
You can't come in. No one can ever come in again. I'm radioactive.
I'm radioactive.
I'm radioactive. I'm radioactive.
And
yeah, that sounds like me.
yeah. Particularly as they say that his ghost still haunts the observatory, never leaving it.
Waiting to attack.
I was like, yeah. No, it's just so fun, so cool.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, just watching the show, you know, the cast of adults in the show, like David Huband, who played the coach, but also Diane Douglas, Mrs. Kutcher, the, you know, lunch lady, and then Mr. Chesbro. You know, they all have such, you know, funny moments. A lot of supporting characters in the show are really funny too. But really quick question. So it's in Tunnel of Love. Did you write rap lines for Mark Minardi that he did? He just did it like really briefly. I'm
pretty sure that I did, because I just checked my notes, and I have a question. Like, I actually have a question to Rick going, what is Chuck's last name? It will make it easier to come up with rap lines for him.
Name's Chuck. Chuck Mughal.
Yeah.
So, but also at that time, I was part of a musical comedy duo. So writing fake raps and writing comedy songs was something I was doing all the time.
Yeah, how fun. I'd seen it. It was an interview you'd done a little while ago, Mark, where you talked about your job in high school, or like during the summer.
Oh, when I was did sing telegrams?
Yeah, I saw that, and this was actually what made me want to interview you. It was like that moment in Gremlins where Mr. Peltzer's just like, I gotta have him. He's incredible.
I gotta have him. He's incredible.
Like, great. Great. I was like, he's.
I've had very weird jobs. Yeah.
Well, it was like this guy's fun. Let's get him.
Nice.
Yeah. So you were interviewed by Jimmy Cagney.
The guy behind the desk looks a little like Jimmy Cagney. And I walk in and he says, "Who are you?" "Mark." "Great."
Oh, gee. I wondered with the rap lyrics, I thought it could be like ad-libbing from Mark Minardi, kind of, or like a mixture of what you did, or even like, Stacey Hirsch, who did the music on the show, who'd worked
I would have to,
previously.
yeah, I'd have to find the actual script. But like I said, I actually did write, I do have my email to Rick saying, can I get Chuck's last name and it'll make it easier to come up with rap lyrics.
Mm.
So that's kind of suggests I was jamming on rap lyrics.
I'm Chucky M, yeah, that's my name. I'm Chucky M, and I got game.
See if which episode was it in? Was it in Plays the Thing?
No, that one's Tunnel of Love. I forget the episode number, but it's not. It's okay because it was just like these kooky moments that I can remember from the show, because it's something that I watched, all the time. Not the entire season, first season anyway, because with physical media releases, the first season's all on DVD, but the second season received no like physical media release. The whole show's on YouTube to watch now, but I thought, what do I remember?
I did not realize it was on YouTube now.
Yeah, it's actually in two different formats, because shout out to Joseph Marshall, who he and Rick know one another very well. Joseph had taken from Rick's video library, his VHS tape library, episodes of the show that were in widescreen, because the DVD that I have is 4:3, and the old YouTube uploads, they're good, but they're in 4:3, and so it's in widescreen. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I've never seen it like that before.
Where is that? When Chuck is playing air guitar, I thought it would be cool to have him sing a really badass "I'm So Cool" tune.
I'm Chucky M, don't say I'm not. I'm so cool, I'm really hot.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the deal is with rights. I know every show has its own nightmare when it comes to music licensing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be delighted to make up song lyrics for an imaginary Born to Run type tune if you like, but just in case, if you're allowed to use a real tune, I figured I'd go that way first. I made up Dead Angels because I thought the name sounded cool and British. Speaking of British, do you know if the British call themselves British or English? I went with English this time because it instinctively sounded right, though I like the word British better. Hope you're having a great vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Mark.
This is a culture thing where it plays into the show as well, because when Mark Hollander appears in America, when he moves there, it kind of depends on who's talking to him. Like, some people would say, it's that English kid.
Did you hear something about a party? Someone's having a party? Yeah, I think it's that English kid.
Or the bully character Wayne in the show would just be like, it's the Brit boy.
Look, it's the Brit boy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's okay, so he's British if you don't like him, and he's English if you do like him. Then again, just call him by his name. It's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, gee. No, it's cool stuff. Lots of great music in Ace Lightning, like the theme song, and then, some of the stuff that, the themes that they were able to do for certain characters, most of which crop up in season 2. Like, they would have, like, different music, I think because the composer was different the second time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that's an interesting story, because, like copyright or things like that, it can be difficult. Like buying, even just buying music to use is costly.
Yep.
But talking about Mr. Chesbro, specifically Mr. Chesbro and his craziness, because he was able to play the radioactive guy who's nuts. We got that.
I remember having so much fun with him being crazy.
Yeah. Mm. With the start of that was it was in unidentified flying superhero, kind of in Unidentified Flying Superhero. This was kind of the start of Mr. Chesbro's delusions about Lord Fear and his gang being weird space aliens. The connection to X-Files makes perfect sense now as to probably why this nugget was in here. So,
well, the other thing that makes me think that would have been me jamming is that when I actually interviewed Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny a couple years after writing that episode of Reboot, and one of the most memorable moments from that interview was talking to Gillian Anderson, and I said, I know this is going to sound like a weird analogy, but I keep feeling like Mulder and Scully are kind of like Big Bird talking about seeing the Snuffleupagus.
Oh.
And I always love that image of this character who only appears to one person, and everybody else thinks the person's delusional. So that would have just been a thing that I liked.
Mm.
I am a Snuffleupagus.
What did you say?
Well, he said he was a Snuffleupagus.
So, it's possible not, but that's kind of my happy place. I actually really do like those characters, that the Snuffleupagus thing, where only one character knows they're real.
Mm-hmm.
So Chaseborough basically being the only person who sees Lord Fear, that would be my kind of thing.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that type of thing, I guess, because and they comment after a while on this in the show, where it's like these video game characters came to life and they're causing trouble, yet nobody knows about it.
And no one knows about it.
But those who do, like, there's very few that actually know what's happening. So like Chesbro, even though he's seen them and he knows that most of them are bad news, like the bad guys from the game, he's like, yeah, but you don't really know what they are. They're not weird space aliens. Despite what you might think.
Oh, here it is. Does Chuck have a last name? The reason I asked, it can be really fun to include it in rap lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Then I've got Duff. Do you just want to blow him off in this episode? I looked at adding the stuff about Fear summoning him. Fear moving the RV. Hubcaps. Yeah, so just down my notes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did nickname himself at one point where he was hit by one of Ace's lightning bolts, and it's a good job he didn't sizzle.
Yes.
Good thing it was a deflected shot, or he'd have sizzled.
Where it's like he got superpowers temporarily. And his superhero name was Thunderfoot.
Thunderfoot?
In one of the raps, he goes by Thunderfoot, and the verse was based on that. It's still really, really funny.
Trouble with a T, that's my middle name. Kikambute, that's Thunderfoot's game.
So going back to minor characters, it's just a quick question. There was one guy, this is also from Unidentified Flying Superhero. His name is Gus, the tow truck driver, who he was sort of I really mean this nicely, I really do, but he was sort of a Canadian stereotype in this American television show because he loved his hockey.
First, they tried to get control of my mind by playing this weird sounding music, right? And that's when I grabbed my hockey stick, and scared them away.
I think it's just, again, when you're when you grow up, you notice the accent and just the way he was and how he talked. I'm like, yeah, he's from Toronto or from he's not American.
This vehicle's impounded, pal. $50 to get it out of here, or I'm calling the cops.
$50?
Yeah. Was it fun to write, stuff for him? He was there just briefly.
I don't recall, but if there was a hockey character, yeah, that would have been my happy place too.
Yeah.
Hoser hockey character, that would have been.
That's him.
A sweet spot.
Yeah. It's like they tried to get control of my mind by playing this weird sounding music, right? He's like, alien, you ain't probing me.
Right? And that's when I said, hey, alien, you ain't probing me.
Nice.
Yeah. Even he says, because he was talking about Lord Fear and Staff Head, the staff that he had, which is, again, another Skeletor, homage going on. And he was like, there was this little bat-looking thing. It was on the end of a stick, had a British accent.
This little bat-looking thing. It's on the end of a stick. Had a British accent.
Yeah.
Yeah. British, not English, right?
Yep.
No, it's funny. No, that comes up a lot in media from North America, but also just talking to people one-on-one where it's like, oh, you're British. I'm like, yeah, but if you want to get technical, because it's like there are 4 kingdoms, England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. So it's like, yes, I am, but which one is it? Which of the 4 are you talking about? It's just funny.
Well, I was interviewed from somebody by somebody from Ireland earlier today.
Oh, fun.
And talking about whale, like not your whales, the whales with an H in it.
Yeah.
Well, you also have those whales, but yes.
Mm.
But since you just brought up whales without the H, I figured I better be specific.
Yeah, no. It's cool. That's very true. That's very true, though. No, I'd be curious, Mark, to see because you were writing a book recently. You had a deadline for that one. No, I'd be curious to read some of what you've written now, because just how different it would be from the television stuff that you've been doing.
Yeah.
But Mark, do you know if this is a question about season 2? I've got a couple of questions about season 2 here now, but Mark had his own wrist cannon for the season. Do you know if it had a nickname in like action lines or anything like that? Because I think online it had like this nickname that I think fans gave it, the Super Glove of Doom, I believe, which I love that name, but I thought I wish there was some canonicity to this. But do you know if it ever had a name? He has it for the whole show, for the whole like 13 episode thing of season 2 anyway.
If you give me a sec, I will look while we are talking, because like I said, I've got my files open. So that would not just have my scripts, it would have other people's as well. Let me pull up Ace. I have no idea whose script this is, so I'm opening right now. I'm just looking up the word wrist. He points his wrist cannon. That is what we had in action lines.
But no, it's cool. No, it was cool seeing him have like his own weapon, for season 2, because it kind of, upped the game where there was more like directly combating the villains and not just like hiding from them, I guess, because that was more what the video game characters did, was just fight one another. But yeah.
Yep, the official word. This is, whose script is this? The Master Plan.
Uh-huh.
Episode 213. I think that's finale, isn't it?
That one is, yeah. We'll talk about that one, yeah. Yeah, I think my favorite, though, one of Mark's weapons pre-wrist, his own wrist cannon that he had like a leaf blower, and he used it on Rat, and his face is just like as he's being blown back into the ice cream truck. I'm like, that was still a cool weapon. But it's like, yeah, we need to up the game. We'll have him have his own thing. Yeah, but talking not just about the finale, but like his whole role in the show. Mark, what was it like writing for Kilobyte's character, if you remember?
Wow, I'm trying to remember if I had any specific moments with Kilobyte.
I have some favorite quotes from him, I can tell you. The same with,
sure.
The same with the other characters. It's like going through what's there. But a note that you sent me when we were going back over email back and forth was, villains are always is block capitals, awesome. And they are. But
they are.
Yeah.
I remember really having fun with Lord Fear. Like the sort of serious blah stuff is just fun to do.
Yeah.
Right? And, random virus like the villains who sort of switch sides. Yeah.
You attacked from behind when he wasn't looking? Now who's the coward?
Yeah.
That's a happy place too. That sort of Two-Faced Green Goblin thing is fun.
It's very X-Men as well, where it's sort of like like that moral dilemma of people with superpowers fighting other people with superpowers, or it's that's specifically what that one is. But I guess like most supervillains, like going back to Spider-Man, have there's sort of like an even match, I guess, going on. But one dedicates themselves to this side and the other that side.
Yeah.
No, the Jekyll and Hyde stuff is definitely there with Random Virus, which again is kind of the Green Goblin thing.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what. Talking of Kilobyte, I'll go. Not talking about his character, but I'll jump to this question here. Do you know if the concept for Kilobyte was partly influenced by Dracula, as his weakness is sunlight or bright light? And Frankenstein is also referenced towards the end of the show too.
It's like the story of Frankenstein. Mad scientist creates monster, matter monster attacks creator,
and then attacks the world.
Because he was under the control of Rick, not Rick Sigelko, Rick the master programmer.
Rick Hummel.
Which that name is just like an inside joke on the show.
Oh, total inside joke.
Which, even if you didn't know, you sort of pick up on that. Matt Fichtner confirmed this, and I thought,
I remember Kilobyte being fun because Kilobyte was sort of had the all powerful thing going on.
Yeah.
But like I don't remember any specific lines.
Mm-hmm.
Just the vibe of it.
Yeah.
But and again, getting to write the season finale was kind of a cool honor.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Getting asked to do that episode was pretty darn cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting because like I'm staring at a whole bunch of season 3 scripts.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. We'll talk. Oh, that's really, really exciting because that sort of leads to another question. I'll go through what we've got. Like with Kilobyte, I guess as a design. By the end, speaking of Dracula, because he kind of looked like Nosferatu a little bit, just the way because he had no hair.
Yeah.
Like by the end, and just like his long fingers and stuff like that. And I think. With the Universal monster influence, not that that's there necessarily, but just some of these nuggets that they put in there, and just some of these ideas that you can piece together yourself. I guess it's not in the show ultimately, but I think when Matt Fichtner was designing Kilobyte, there was this idea at one point to make him look like a virus, to like this corrupting kind of force, which ends up being, still his role in the show, but to try and visually make him look like that, still with the tentacles, but have like more of a little bit more of an abstract design. I think Matt was saying, I'll need to double check on that one. But also because Kilobyte at the carnival turned into a Ferris wheel, that was like his hiding place. Matt wondered at one point about having him have long hair and him being covered in oil, like grease from the wheel. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Like Creature from the Black Lagoon again, or like a swamp monster. I was like, oh, that's really fun. It's really cool. But then like going, the design is still really, really amazing. And then there was like a in-between design between like the virus thing and the swamp monster, almost greasy idea. There was a prototype for what he ended up looking like ultimately with like his body armor and his tentacles that he had, which again is like Dr. Octopus from, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, not so much an influence on the design or the character necessarily, but that's something to pick up on.
What was the first episode Kilobyte appeared in?
That one is it's season 2, episode 4. I think Uninvited Guest is the name.
Interesting, because I'm pulling up. Standing in the shadows, we see only the outline of his body as his tentacles slowly slice the air.
Uh-huh.
That's the first reference I'm seeing.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
To Kilobyte, and he doesn't have a name yet.
Mm-hmm. Is that just like an early script that?
What I did, because I was obsessed with getting the characters' voices right, so I made my own master scripts that only made sense to me. Where Rick would send me all the scripts, and I just compiled them all. And then when I was writing a character, I could basically word search like I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to top of Ace 1 to 208. And the first thing that I'm seeing, Kilobyte. Yeah. Standing in the shadows, we see only the outlines of his body, his tentacle solutions. So let's see here. Kilobyte. It's too late to save this world, Lightning. The trap has already been sprung and your fate is sealed.
Yeah.
It's too late to save this world, Lightning. The trap has already been sprung and your fate is sealed.
That's in the show proper. That's a really good line.
That is the first reference that I'm seeing. The Scrambler ride, Kilobyte morphed out of the ride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Scrambler was his working name. That was what he was going to be called in Matt Fichtner's concept art, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it may have just come out of being able to get a Scrambler for that carnival.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're so for all of the design aspects, there was a practicality, which is they had a real working carnival.
Yeah.
These were the rides they had, right?
Yeah, they were rented. I was talking to Rupert Lazarus, who did production design on the show, who's still hard at work now. He worked on a movie called Possessor, actually, Brandon Cronenberg. So David Cronenberg.
Cool.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, he did, because I haven't seen Possessor. I'm like, oh, he did that. That was fun. But a funny story is that I got an email from Rupert Lazarus, who said he was really touched that I reached out to him, because I said, how important the show was to me and, the design style. And I have on Blu-ray some of David Cronenberg's early films, which I was watching, was doing research for like a writing project I'm working on now, and was watching David Cronenberg, and then, Rupert Lazarus contacts me. I'm like, oh, it's the guy who worked on Brandon Cronenberg's movie. It's just
cool.
a connection there. Like, I haven't heard from Rupert since, but, I told him this. I'm like, I have to tell him. That's funny. Oh, gee. We'll talk briefly just about the end of season 2, but
all good.
But do you know season 2 was left on a cliffhanger, and while season 3 didn't happen, sadly, do you know if season 3 would have been the definitive end to the show? Because I understand that storylines were worked on and concept art was worked on too. But you've got season 3 scripts that you have there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm staring at season 3 scripts now, and the introduction of a new character called Candy Floss.
Yeah,
and who I've got written, and I can't figure out whose line it is. Like, I'm trying to be respectful to do what. Where I've got Candy Floss may even be tougher than Kilobyte is the note that I just saw.
Oh,
and I'm not sure. Where was it? Okay, if it's take 3, it must have been my episode. I've got Pete. This Candy Floss character sounds tougher than your mom's fruitcake. Mark, yeah, she may even be stronger than random virus. What really worries me is it sounds like she's working with Kilobyte. Pete, I thought you and Ace kicked Kilo butt permanently. If he's still in the game, you better watch yourself. I know, I just wish we knew what Kilobyte was up to. So, yeah. And there's Rick, Kilobyte Master. I was just leaving. So yes, Rick has now been taken over by Kilobyte.
Oh.
So in this version, Kilobyte's now the boss, and Rick is definitely no longer the master.
Yeah, which was his line at the end of the season. He's like, "It's just a game. It's just a game. I should know. I'm the master programmer."
It's just a game. It's just a game. I should know. I'm the master programmer.
You were the master programmer. I'm the master now, and I won't rest until you take us back to the Carnival of Doom.
You were the master programmer. I'm the master now, and I won't rest until you take us back to the Carnival of Doom.
Get me out of here! Help me!
Get me out of here! Help me!
Notes on Candy Floss. She is an unlocked character in the video game, which means a player has to find her in the game before she can become activated. It also means that the other characters wouldn't know about her. Kilobyte, with Rick's help, tells Heather how to find and unlock Candy Floss in the first episode. They instruct her to burn a CD of the Candy Floss program, which activates the character whenever Heather puts the CD in her computer. At first, this is all that Kilobyte asks Heather to do. On Kilobyte's instructions, Heather can also give Candy Floss commands by typing them into her computer. Candy Floss morphs out of the cotton candy machine in the carnival. So there's, and Candy Floss is, very cool character.
No, completely.
And again, questionable allegiances.
Yeah. Well, I think Matt Fickner wondered if Candy Floss would kind of replace Lady Illusion for Lord Fear, where those two were going to be a thing instead, because Lady Illusion and Ace, became a couple. And I know that when Matt was designing her, I think that name was suggested to be used for the character. And I think originally she was going to be called Jawbreaker, like the candy, which, and be more like an alien with like blue skin or something, I think is what he was going for. It's like, I do really like the Candy Floss design. I don't know if you've got any images there, or if you've ever seen it.
No.
It's still really cool. But no, that would have been interesting. like one way or another.
Actually, this is cracking me up. I'm seeing a line that looks like it's Harley Quinn.
Oh,
nothing
cool.
personal, Pudding.
Yeah, I want to say that that the idea of her is kind of like Harley Quinn. Yeah,
but predates Harley. So.
Oh, I see.
Pretty sure.
Because I know Margot Robbie has that line, in Suicide Squad, and yeah, that's her. That's very her.
To Harley Quinn. Well, don't know. Harley Quinn's debut was 92.
Oh no, the movie Suicide Squad, the David Fincher film. Yeah.
Well, one of Harley Quinn's things is calling Joker Puddin'.
Yeah.
Puddin'.
But I did not know that line was written, I'm sure. Because I think at that point she was just in the animated series, which I don't think I was watching at the time. So, and don't know when she picked up the pudding thing.
I was going to say that's more where I know her from, complete with the red and black suit that she had. But no, Mark, did you get to see? It was in one of those emails. Did you get to see the concept art for Buzz Beast and Candy Floss? The matte figure.
What's funny is that's what I was going to send you. I was going through all of my files. I thought, oh my God, William has to see these. What you sent me was exactly what I had found, where I was like, what's your address? You need to see these. Yeah. I thought Candy Floss looked amazing. I actually thought the designs just kept getting better and cleverer, right? And yeah, those were characters that I thought would be fun to write. That was all I saw. Rick sent those over when we were working, and it was just like, I want you to know what you're working on. And yeah, so.
Yeah, no, the thing with those is that for one thing, I was checking Matt Fichtner's sketchbook, and I think the Buzz Beast drawing anyway, it says 06 on it, like 2006, so I guess that's when that was drawn. So that was Ace Lightning Season 2 anyway, didn't show in the United States anyway. In 2005, it showed in the United Kingdom, so I guess that's like 12 months on from that one. And I believe that Alliance Atlantis was ready to go for a third season of Ace. This is according to Rick Sigelco.
Yeah.
And I think the BBC, who's the primary funder in the whole operation, was just like, we're sorry, we can't sustain the production any longer. So the lid was put on that, very sadly.
You know more about that than I do. I just remember getting the call from Rick, and he was heartbroken, and I was heartbroken. Yeah. And yeah, he said that my understanding was that the paperwork and the money just did not come together in time to keep things going. But I mean, he was, as far as I knew, it was like all systems go. And like, I actually remember where I was driving in Vancouver and pulling over the side of the road to get his call. And way before handheld, like cell phones existed, handhelds did not. Like the nice Bluetoothy stream through your car things. So I pulled over to take his call because it was like, okay, I've got a special ringtone for Rick Sigelco. I can't remember what it was. And if that's about Ace, I got to hear it. And yeah, not one of the happier calls I ever took. I loved working on that show.
No, as a fan, it's heartbreaking for me too. And I think because with season 1 anyway, I saw that on the TV, I was able to see a good chunk of it, when it was broadcast in, where I'm from. And then it seemed to just kind of go away. Matt Fichtner was saying that it played once on the TV in Canada, and it did show around the world. Apparently it sold to like 100 different countries. And
yeah, I remember hearing that it was everywhere. So I'm like, how could it be everywhere and not be on the air? That just...
Yeah, it sort of doesn't
television work. Economics baffles me. So...
Well, also, I think, spending so much time, effort, and, a lot of money, because I know that the second season had a reduced budget compared to the first one, just for the number of episodes made, and watching it, you think, yeah, there's a reduction going on here. This isn't a slight against it. This is just a fact of the matter. But I don't know what the actual figures were, but that's, it was a significant cut down.
Yeah, budget numbers are above my level as a writer, so.
Oh no, that we don't need to worry about any of that. But yeah, I think because it was translated, like subtitled and dubbed in different languages, and it seemed to be super popular just for that time, and then it just slipped away. But with season 2, I wasn't aware that there was a second season, until going onto the internet in like 2008. I'm like, what? There was more after episode 26. Like, I have to see. Most of it wasn't online. I think people had VHS'd it off the TV, so people knew about it. But like, I didn't see it in full until like 2012, because that's when the whole season got put onto YouTube the first time, and it's been redone in better quality now. But I just thought, it's great to actually see all these episodes and not just read the synopsis online. So I knew what happened in them, but, obviously you want to see it.
So it's not on any BBC channels or anything like that?
No, it just sort of came and went. Something I will show you. I forgot to show you this last time. One of the discs I've taken out of the box, but this is a DVD. This set is the complete first season, and this one is actually from Hong Kong.
Wow, I do remember seeing that. I think I saw that at a comic convention.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I saw that at a comic convention in Vancouver, Victoria. Maybe Toronto.
No, it's crazy.
Wow.
No, there we go.
Very cool.
No, there's photos of that box anyway online. What I'll do, I'll open this. But so we've got Ace and we've got Mark.
Okay.
Just get this here.
I'm very curious. Have you talked to any of the actors? Like, what are they up to now? Especially the kid actors.
Yeah, I've reached out to quite a few of them. So I spoke to Brandon Carrera, actually. It's tricky because they were like children, and some of them are still acting and some of them are not, and it's just kind of the same as if you're an adult like acting, where it's this competitive thing, and they were all working like for a while, where it's like, not everyone can be a big star, but a lot of people are still doing it. So no, I think some of them, Tom Wansley, who was the main kid, Mark, and then Shabby Simmons as Samantha, she was, I think they're not acting anymore, but they're still in like education, like teaching people to be actors, or like involved in English and drama and stuff like that. I don't really know, like some of them do have credits, on the internet, but not everything is listed on IMDb. So.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the thing is, when I was doing Ace, I lived in Toronto, and of course all the actors were from Toronto. So if they were Vancouver actors, I'd know if they were still working. I'd have crossed paths. But Toronto actors, less likely, right? I might see them in a show or whatever, but I don't know that I'd recognize, I'd recognize them at this age, right?
Yeah. It's that thing of because I wanted to ask you last time about the rap party that you were at, where you met one of the dads of the
Chuck's dad.
Yeah, Chuck's
dad. I just remember that being so funny because we were the only two people who didn't know anyone, and it was so weird. It felt like I knew them all because, of course, I'd been writing their dialogue all year.
You know their characters, but you hadn't. Yeah,
I knew their characters. I'd never met the actors, so it was very weird. It's a very weird thing because they've been in my head all year. Which, I get that it must feel the same when you're watching a show and you run into somebody that you recognize from TV. But I think it's got to be it's an extra level of weird when you're writing the show, you're putting the words in their mouths, and then you realize, oh wow, because I came in, I watched shoots and stuff just because I was curious, but I tried to be really discreet and not get in anybody's way. So I should have been a little less discreet and actually said hi.
Oh, it's okay. It's like you sort of think, or I sometimes have these moments like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and then it's suddenly just like, oh no, I'm shrinking back. I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
Or it's the other way. It's kind of like these interviews that I'm doing with, it's so awesome talking to you, Mark, and I feel comfortable with this. But starting off like it was never recorded, but talking to Matt Fickner, it's just like it's my hero, he's right there. I'm like, hey, and then you go like, hey, Mark, how's it going? You know, and I thought, what else can I do? You know,
very cool.
Yeah, talking of not recognizing actors now. With Mr. Minardi, because that was Mark Minardi is the actor's name.
Yeah.
Chuck, of course, you know. Was Mr. Minardi, was he like a muscly guy, or was he not really?
I don't think he was particularly, but like I don't have huge memories of him. Yeah, it was just like I had assumed he was crew because, you know, at the party he's like, nope, I'm chaperone.
Yeah.
Hung out with him in a corner for a bit. He was lovely.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. No, I only ask, you might be thinking, why, William, are you asking me this question about his body type? It's just that because Mark Minardi, he was kind of a broad boy when he was younger anyway, in the first season. In the second season, he grew significantly and was kind of a leaner guy. Seeing his social media photos now, he's this really muscular, like bodybuilder-y kind of guy now. And he has I know, and he has like a shaved head. And he's just sort of like,
wow,
is that him? Is that it doesn't? I can tell it's him because, you know, you recognize him, but he just looks so different. You know,
that'll be a fun thing to put in your videos. It's like the before and after. That's kind of like him at 14, 15, whatever he was, and him now. That'd be pretty cool.
I think he's. I think they're all like 10 years older than me. I'm 26 now, so I guess they're like 36 odd, something like that. But yeah, you see Mark Minardi now, it's like, yeah, he could kick our ass.
Funny.
You know, I'm sure he wouldn't, but it's you know, he looks like a bouncer outside of a nightclub, just sort of like, how's it going? You're not going to try and cross me, are you? Okay, have a nice night.
Very cool.
So, could I ask, Mark, it's about the second season with Ace Lightning, the titular character. So, do you remember what it was like writing for Ace in season 2? Because he was given these human emotions by the bad guys just to try and throw his program off. And, you know, he was pretty unstable as a result.
Try harder, or you can find another superhero to cover your sorry butt. What happened? It's my fault. I couldn't control my anger.
Yeah, I remember it being a bit more fun because changing things up for Ace was cool. Just because you were playing with a very straight-laced superhero, you know, so to change up the vibe of that's always great. You know, he was a very Superman-ish superhero early on.
Just follow the code of the Lightning Knight. Do right, and fear not.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
And to shift that was fun. I mean, it's the same thing I think Superman writers must get when they mess around with their characters, and you know, it's why they created things like Red Kryptonite. Yes, let's have Superman get wacky.
No,
yeah,
just trying to throw things off. You know, I'm glad you said that about Ace because I find, you know, the characters in Ace, particularly the video game characters, where I think the A story to the whole show is about the teenagers and what they get up to. And then the B story, just looking at the amount of animation sequences, rewatching the show, like the B story is the superhero-y stuff. But as a child, I guess it just depends on how you take it, where you're like, I'm more interested in the superhero stuff. I'll speak for myself. And this is just me. I know I'm not alone, where it's like, I kind of like the bad guys more than the good guys. And this is the difference between something like this and like the Batman comics, in that, you know, I love Batman, but I also really love the villains as well so much. Yeah,
Batman has, without a doubt, the best villains of any superhero. Yeah. Right? Like, to the point where most superheroes, their villains are modeled after Batman's villains.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Batman's villains are the prototype for Spidey's villains, Flash's rogues gallery, you know, although, you know, I also get into the fact that, to my mind, the reason it must be so hard to write Superman is they've been writing Superman for so many years, and they've come up with, like, what, 2 A-level villains? Luthor and Brainiac? Like, that's it. And Brainiac isn't even iconic. Like, if you ask a casual person which Superman villains they've heard of, it's Luthor, maybe Zod from the movies. So Superman's existed almost a century now, like not quite. And you've got really one iconic villain, Batman, same time frame. And you could walk up to somebody in the street and they could name a dozen Batman villains, right? Just casually. You could walk up to a stranger and they could name 5-6 Spider-Man villains.
I was going to say, sorry,
but Batman villains, or sorry, Superman villains, no.
Yeah, I was going to say, because with, comic book villains, stuff like that, Batman for sure, but then also Spider-Man, and then even like some of the X-Men villains as well, like Apocalypse, or,
X-Men has a spectacular rogues gallery. Like, that's one of the comics that does it.
Like, I wonder if, because Rick had said in an interview a little while ago now, shout out to Joseph Marshall. Thank you so much, Joseph. Rick was saying, he said, as one writer said to me, all the powers have already been taken. So I don't know if that was Denny O'Neil or if it's just kind of common sense with any reader or writer when it comes to comics. You're like, this bucket is empty. It's like, well, sure, but how do we do a different kind of superhero?
Absolutely.
How do you take these things that you might well recognize? In your case, how do you take these things and try and put a different spin on it? And I think it's only as you grow up and see more media, you kind of pick up on these things, because no 6-year-old kid, me, watching Ace Lightning in 2002 is that familiar with the comics, unless like Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, like the Sam Raimi movies were coming out.
Yeah,
when that show was being made. And I don't know if any of that was influential, those movies, especially the second one, when the show was being made, because it's like we're doing our thing, they're doing their thing,
Yeah, if any powers were missed prior to Chris Claremont on X-Men, Chris Claremont finished them off and got all the rest.
Oh.
Somewhere, somewhere he made a mutant with whatever power was out there that was possible. It was kind of astonishing what he did with that run. And yeah, so all the powers probably have been used, but doesn't mean you can't keep spinning out great new characters.
Yeah, because it's like who they are that makes them, interesting. It's not just what they can do. Of course, it's the endurance of these things. And I think that's why, like, going back to Ace Lightning, that because he is this kind of straight-laced, by-the-book good guy, nothing wrong with any of that. He has these flaws, and lessons to learn as well during the whole run of his character in the show.
Yeah.
But I think perhaps it's because with season 2, they aged it up and made it a bit more teenagery, so that when the audience grew up, it kind of grew up with you. Or the other way around. Yeah. So, no, I just find Ace a lot more interesting in season 2 because he's corrupted with these unstable human emotions, and it's kind of, it's like the Hulk. It's like the Hulk trying to control himself and be a better guy, and also like, like an adolescence kind of metaphor, or perhaps I was a teenager reconsidering the show. And I just sort of like, oh no, I got what this was about now, or it means more to me.
What if you'd spent your entire life with a computer program telling you what to do? Then one day, bam, the program's gone and you're stuck with all these weird new feelings.
Was all of that intentional?
Oh, I'm sure it was. That's really a Rick question.
Yes.
But it makes perfect sense to me that you just go, all right, how do we change this up? How do we make Ace a little more interesting? Because so often the villains are going to be more interesting than the heroes, because the heroes don't have as much going on. Hero's job is to fight the villain. If the villain isn't cool, you don't have much.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, it's seriously, it's why as a kid, I felt like I read everything except Superman. Because I just go, Hulk smash made more sense to me because Hulk was interesting.
Yes. Yes.
So, Hulk spoke like the classic Hulk where, Hulk was not intelligent, still felt like better storytelling overall. Then Superman was like, yeah, Lex Luthor's come up with another doomsday ray. Great. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
And then they invent Doomsday, who's basically an intergalactic Hulk, to stop him. And again, like, pretend that's an A-level villain.
Maybe the strength of the character, but not as an actual thing. Not.
Yeah. Seriously, compare Doomsday to Doomsday as the villain who ended Superman ever so briefly, to Bane as the villain who ended Batman.
Yeah.
Bane is still sticking around, and Bane is a great character and is so flexible that Bane becomes something entirely hilarious in Harley Quinn. If you're watching the Harley Quinn TV series, right? Like it's such a rich character. Spider-Man, where we started, and Spider-Man where I think Ace started, because it really felt to me, the Ace villains really felt to me like Spider-Man, early Spider-Man villains. And all of those are great parts. In Ace, all of those are just chewy, fun parts, right? Like if you're an actor, I think he had a really good time in the recording studio doing those pieces.
Did you receive much material on Candy Floss?
I think all I really got on Candy Floss was the image and the most basic details. With all of those characters, I think we got the images, but we hadn't started writing yet. So, because until the money's there, they don't get the writers going. So we'd had conversations about writing, but yeah, I don't recall doing anything beyond, you've got to check these characters out, and me going, that's really cool. Matt came up with such cool images for that.
Yeah, I think with that one, because I know you read some material from season 3 that was there. Yeah. Was that basically all that was made? You know, basically. Yeah. Because I kind of thought, I don't really know what else could have been done. We've got like a basic outline there, but what was interesting, and this connects to the storyline of what would have happened with the kids. Heather, one of the characters, one of the side characters, was given control of Candy Floss from what the script seemed to be saying, which is certainly something a lot more to do for her character. And it's, I guess it would kind of serve as revenge in a way, like picking up from the last season, because Pigface had this superpower where he could launch projectile snot, like late native fluid. You remember? And that she got doused in that. So when I knew that, when I read that, I thought, right, revenge time, click.
Yep.
But yeah, that was so great.
Yeah, Rick had a good sense of sort of smart, gross kid humor. So,
which there's a lot of in Ace Lightning. It's kind of that early 2000s kind of gross out comedy style, which I really love. And, looking back, knowing how things were made, it's like, oh no, this fits all in the spots, all those tropes. No, I wonder, stemming from that, I wonder what would have happened with the kids in season 3, because they'd gone to high school and they would have probably gone still further through that. Do you know what could have happened there?
Not really, although I'm fairly certain, because of the ages that they were aiming for, that they wouldn't have done that Buffy thing and sent them to college. I think they would have been in high school for as long as the show ran.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only prediction on that. I would have been really surprised if they graduated, because in classic high school shows, kids never graduate.
No,
right? Like there's the odd exception, but they're rare and don't usually do well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I know I was going to say, you mentioned Buffy, which I've seen in its entirety along with Angel, because it's on Disney Plus now. And I think Joss Whedon's vision for the show was to have them grow up through it. And, it's interesting and different, but I thought, for this show, I thought, well, it never really had legs for that. I think it was more aimed at like a younger audience. And this is all.
It was also goofier. It was always goofier comedy.
Yes.
So it would have been a total tonal shift to go, hi, we're going to switch from goofy comedy to something where our characters could conceivably be in first year university. No, that wasn't really how it was built.
Well, I think with Buffy, a lot of people really like the first 3 seasons where it's like those years of high school, and then it kind of depends. There's good stuff thereafter, but it's a different story because she went to college and she got a job.
Yeah.
It was just like life stuff kept going. And that's not Ace Lightning. We're not going to do that kind of superhero-y story. But like talking of aging up the show, like just based on, the design of Candy Floss, how she looked, it was like Harley Quinn and some of the comics anyway. She's like underdressed, and I know Matt was hesitant. I think it was the BBC's idea to call her Candy Floss, which is what you guys call cotton candy. You know, it's that kind
Yes.
of carnival. I'm sure you know.
I remember Jawbreaker being one of the designs I saw. And in Canada, it's cotton candy too.
Sure.
The Canadian version of cotton candy is cotton candy, but I guess the American version is candy floss.
I don't know. I think in Britain it's candy floss, and and then in America it's also cotton candy. You would have a better idea. Aging up the show, because Buzz Beast as a character had like a big circular saw or a big buzz saw in his body and his tail. You think to yourself, is this going to be a darker show? Is this going to be violent?
Well, but again, that goes back to being a Spider-Man character, right? Like Gladiator had the saw. So going back to my take that this had very much a early Spider-Man vibe, that goes back to that early Spider-Man vibe. And even Candy Floss, like you kind of go, okay, that's sort of a Black Cat vibe.
Yeah.
So I still think there was a real early Spider-Man, Peter Parker still young kind of vibe to it.
I'm sorry, if Lady Illusion were like Catwoman, then Candy Floss kind of like Black Cat. Because I think, did you receive much material on Buzz Beast? Like, that's really the last question that I have.
Same thing. I just got a couple of images. Wish there was more. Wish I got to write for him.
It might have been tricky because I think in Matt's mind, and this is something you would have to change for the TV show, but I think in Matt's mind, Buzz Beast wasn't going to talk. He was just going to be like a monster that roared and stuff. And I was asking him, would he have talked? Like, would you, at least in designing him, did you imagine the character that way? And he told me no, but I think you would have to do something, maybe even get to voice him.
I don't know. You can pull off non-speaking characters. They can be fun.
Oh, no. I'm not saying it wouldn't work or wouldn't be any good. I just thought to myself, for the sake of equality with the rest of the characters, you might want to give him a voiceover or not, or use him in the right way. Because I thought with season 3, television doesn't end. Film ends.
Yeah. Television doesn't end. Film ends.
And I'm like, even though, because season 1 had this definitive ending, the door was open, but it felt like an ending. Season 2 deliberately had the door open for more. And I don't know if season 3 would have been the definitive end, because you would hope that it would go on for as long as possible. But,
No, I'm with you. I wish it was still going.
Yeah, well, maybe, I was saying to Matt, like, maybe we could make something, you and me, or like, I'll fund it, I'll make it, I'll do it.
Nice.
Or I'll phone up the BBC and be like, have you still got, this show in your archives? Oh, you do. Can you re-release it, please? I'll purchase it and we'll make it popular again. Unless you're a fan of it now, you're not going to look for it. But it's kind of receiving some attention. So who knows?
Nice. I love your enthusiasm for this, William. This is so cool.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mark. Yeah.
We've hit all the stuff you need, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. No, this is really valuable material. Like, I'll be able to use this in my review, for the cancelled season 3. Just a quick comment. We'll need to wrap up soon. With Buzz Beast, conceptually, I think Matt Fichtner imagined that the bad guys would take the DNA of Pigface and try and create this new thing. So he wasn't from the game. He was just like invented. And I thought that's something different. It breaks a little with what we did, but like it explains, looking at him, why his face kind of looks the way it does. Like he has those big teeth, like Pigface had those big tusks. So it's got like, you could have an in-story reason for why he looks like this, or it's just like a joke on Matt's part. Like, they took this, we took that, because that was their thing. It's like, we'll use technology to try and summon the characters back out of the game because they've been put back in their boxes again. The show doesn't say that, but that's one of the ideas they had. Well, Mark, once this is out, I'll share with you, sharing my work with you. And no, it's been a real pleasure. It's been the greatest thing ever to talk to you, sir.
Thank you so much. And I love your enthusiasm. And if you talk to any more people from the show, please send my love and my thanks. All right. Take care.
I'll see you around, Mark. You take care.
Thank you so much, William. All right. Bye.
Bye. It's hard to take a stand, it's hard to do what's right. No matter how scared you are, you have to stand and fight. And we don't have to play this game all alone, 'cause there's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero in us all. You have to do what's right. You have to do what's good. It's hard to stand and fight when you're misunderstood. We don't have to play this game all alone, 'cause there's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero in us. The world can be such a lonely place. Ching, 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 ching. When there's not much out for you at home. You at home. If I'm in trouble, I can count on Ace. I don't have to play this game alone. There's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero. There's a hero. There's a hero in us all. There's a hero in us all.